Welcome back to Money with Mission. It is me, Felicia Fro, the urologist turned real estate investor, the urologist turned social impact real estate investor. And I am here today with Laura Oldanie. Laura is a guest we had back in September 2022. I've been following her work at Rich and Resilient Living and wanted to have her back on to hear what she's up to these days. Laura asks a specific question. Is it possible to achieve financial freedom in a way that helps to solve the environmental challenges and social injustices plaguing our world instead of causing them? She is a green living and wealth coach who blogs at richandresilientliving.com, where she explores money and lifestyle choices for a regenerative future. Her goal is to help people achieve financial freedom and live their best lives in socially and environmentally conscious ways that equally value people, planet, and profit. She received her Permaculture Design Certificate in 2009 and has been exploring how to earn, spend, invest, and manage your money or her money to bring about the change that she wants to see in the world ever since. Her work has been featured in Forbes, CNBC, and in Good Housekeeping. I'm excited to have this conversation with Laura and have you hear what she's doing. Be sure to check out her website at Rich and Resilient Living. And if you've not subscribed to this podcast, hit the subscribe button. If you're on YouTube watching it, hit that subscribe button. If you're on your favorite podcast platform, hit that subscribe button. And whichever one you're on, if you haven't subscribed on the other one, go and hit that other subscribe, YouTube or podcast. Please, please, please. And thank you very much. On with the program. Welcome, Laura.
Be the change you want to see. Make a difference by giving your money a purpose, a mission to do good. Welcome to Money with Mission, where we show you how to create passive income so that you have options for how to work and how to live your life while leaving a legacy of positive social impact.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. I have Laura Oldanie. If you didn't hear our conversation back in September 22, I can't remember the episode, but September 22, go to that and we're going to just start in on what we've been up to since that time. I love talking to Laura. She's got so much going on. And I think that, not I think, I know that what she's got going on is going to be very interesting to you. So welcome back, Laura. It's good to see you again.
Thank you, Felicia, for inviting me back. It's wonderful to be continuing this conversation with you.
Yes, I think I got one of your newsletters, like, "I gotta find out what she's up to. Let's just have a talk. Come on the podcast. Let's do it again."
Great.
So, your Rich and Resilient Living is your website. That's your kind of overall mantra. What's changed? What are you doing now? Or even go back to the beginning and when you started and how things have changed for you in building this business and this life that you see and I see that we should be really, I guess we shouldn't use shoulds, but we could be living if we choose to do so.
Yes. Great. Well, so I know in that first episode you mentioned and encouraged people to listen to, I went into a good bit of detail about my background on this path, so I won't go too deep that direction, but I will say that the work I've been doing is very much guided by my own personal journey. I started out with doing the responsible things with money and putting my money in IRAs and retirement funds, but then ending up not feeling that great about what that money was supporting. And then also starting to explore more sustainable paths, sustainable living, and eco friendly ways of living, socially conscious ways of moving in the world. And I wanted my money to be coming on that journey with me. And so, as I was learning about things that I could do with my money outside of the stock market off Wall Street that were things that were more in line with my values, I started blogging to share that and to talk about how people could still pursue that financial independence, retire early while not putting their money in the stock market, but trying to invest in the solutions instead of the problems. And that's really what I started out focusing on. But as I moved through that, I really started bringing in another aspect of my life, which is permaculture. this ecological design toolkit that looks to nature as the model. And I really started delving into lifestyle design and what are the lessons in nature about how we design our lives, how we build wealth. And I started connecting with some others that were from the permaculture space who were also wanting to have these conversations. And in fact, four of us came together, five of us actually came together and co wrote a book called Growing Free. And for us, that free stands for financially resilient and economically, ecologically, and ethically empowered, as opposed to fire, which is so often taking care of ourselves and setting ourselves up financially by investing in things that are harming people and planet. The free is that way to achieve that financial resilience, but doing it in align with our ethics and our values and in ways that again are solving those problems instead of exacerbating them. And in fact, the subtitle of our book is Building the Life of Your Dreams Without Losing Your Soul or Destroying the Planet. And so that
I love all of that. Know that most of us think about wealth as the money we have and what we can do with that money. But I think you think about wealth a little bit differently. There's more categories of wealth than just financial wealth that
Mhm.
I think most of us ignore, especially since COVID. There's such the epidemic or pandemic or whatever we call it, demic of loneliness and not being around people and feeling like you got to do everything yourself that I think COVID may have exacerbated, or maybe it didn't. I don't know. But it's just one of those, just understanding there's more wealth than financial wealth that helps you be resilient. Talk about that a little bit more.
Sure. I'm so glad you brought that up, especially when the headlines today in the major newspapers are talking about this big drop in value of stocks on Wall Street. Our financial capital is so fragile and speculative and volatile. And so, if we want to build that anti fragile wealth, money plays a role, of course, a big role in our society. But if we truly want to be resilient and anti fragile, we have to look a lot farther beyond just money.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, these other forms of capital, we have things in our life, living capital or natural capital, which are the apple trees out in your community or your neighbor's garden or the community garden, the park in your city, the clean water, the air we breathe. That's a very valuable form of capital. Our intellectual capital, the knowledge we have, what we learn in school, our creativity, innovation, experiential capital, the skills we have, the things we know how to do. If we can fix our own flat tire of our car or cook a meal for ourselves, these are skills. That's the experiential capital we learn by doing things. Then we've got what the people in our lives, the social capital, which I think is very much probably the foundation of resilient capital is having those connections and those contacts and that network in our lives. So we don't have to be rich in every single form of capital. Spiritual capital, that could be our religious faith, it could be just our yoga practice or how we go outside and just feel awe in nature. There's material capital, the tangible things that we can touch, the computers we're using to connect with each other, the microphone I'm speaking into, the car I drive, my bicycle. Those are other forms of capital as well. And those get talked about as I talk about them as the multiple forms of capital in permaculture. They're talked about as the eight forms of capital. There's also cultural capital, our shared history, art, film, that's cultural capital. I've seen people reference attention as a form of capital. And when we think about how much money Mark Zuckerberg has earned off of people's attention, we can see that that's an extremely valuable form of capital. And what are we directing our attention to? Are we directing our attention to something that is enriching and supporting something that's in antithesis to our values, as opposed to directing our attention in ways that uplift us and our communities? And that's not to say never mindlessly scroll or on social media, but we can be really cognizant of our attention and what we're directing it to and what we could be gaining by directing our attention elsewhere or not focusing on other things, or time is a form of capital, or our health is a form of capital.
100% our health and social. And then back to the attention capital. I was listening to another podcast where they talked about the mindless scrolling, but make wherever you're giving your attention to, make them earn it. Don't just read something just because it came to you. It needs to be worth it or get off of it quick. Make them earn your attention because people are making a lot of money off of your attention. And we don't even think about that. I do think that to me, social capital is huge. And
Mhm.
having people in my life that enrich me in lots of ways, just having them in my life, having them as friends, but then knowing that if shit hit the fan one day and everything went down, you know who you can go to that's going to help you and is going to be there and you're going to be there for them and help them. And that so much makes me feel comfortable and more resilient to know that that's available to me. People that know what plants are poisonous, people who know how to bandage something if it's broken or what all those people in your life. My kids and I play zombie apocalypse, and if there's a zombie apocalypse, who do you want on your team? And you gotta think about that. What kind of stuff are we gonna need to be able to survive this thing? And not just weapons. There's a lot you need. So that the capital and thinking that through and knowing when you have all those things, that is when you are, to me, the most wealthy.
Right?
Having money, of course, lets you buy a lot of things, and having money that is or earning money in a way that is not destroying something else, and that's sometimes hard to do. How do you if you're putting your money just into your IRA and your company has a whatever, and how do you pay attention? How can you know what your money is actually going to fund so that you can participate in that? Because I think a lot of us don't necessarily participate in that.
I think one of the best websites people can check out to get better sense of what their retirement accounts are funding is As You and So, SOW. I believe it's asyousow.org. And there you can find out what the funds are through your HR person, I imagine, at your office that you're invested in, or look over the paperwork for your retirement accounts. And then you can take those fund names and plug them into the search engines on As You Sow, and it will show you what those funds are supporting. I will say that even if you are in the more socially conscious and socially and environmentally conscious funds, by its very nature, if you're investing in a company that is shareholder driven, their ultimate goal legally by law is to maximize shareholder profit.
Yep.
So just know that even if that company is scoring better on governance or environmental or some other social factors, they're still shareholder driven. And by law, they have to make the return of profits for their shareholders the most important thing. It's a single bottom line. It is not a triple bottom line of people, planet, profit.
Triple bottom line. What kind of things can you invest in that have that kind of triple bottom line?
Well, there are more and more things every day. Now, I want to be clear. None of this is financial advice. I am a financial
100%.
coach, but
Thank you so
yeah,
much. No, we're not telling you to go invest in anything.
do
Do
your
your
own
due diligence.
yes. But certainly, I will say that opportunities to invest, and especially in more socially and environmentally conscious ways, do exist outside of the stock market. Now, it does take more effort to find to manage these. It's not as easy as just opening an account online with one of the online brokerages and selecting a few stocks and then going in and logging in every once in a while and seeing what your balance is. It takes research, it takes commitment, but
Hmm.
there are things like there's a platform called steward.com, Go Steward, I think, gosteward.com. And Steward is a platform where people can make loans to regenerative farmers and earn a percent return. making loans to farmers that are using sustainable practices. They're regenerating the soil. They are not using conventional harmful agricultural practices. There are a bunch of CDFIs, community development financial institutions, where you could open, some of them are banks, and those are financial institutions often in marginalized or underserved communities. And you can open a CD with one of these banks. There's a Native American bank. So if one of the things you want to be supporting is a Native American community, you could open a CD or just deposit some money at the Native American bank, and then that money would be lent out to Native Americans for mortgages, businesses, car loans.
Mhm.
There's our funds like trying to remember the Community Fund of New England or Cooperative Fund of New England that's trying to promote the solidarity economy in New England. So they're out there. I've got some more on my website, but just know that there are opportunities out there and we can just ask around in our communities. I just started expressing my interest in my local community about wanting to, why am I sending my money off to Wall Street, off to other communities? I want my money to support my community. I want to live in a vibrant community. And if we keep sending our money out of our communities, we won't be living in vibrant communities. And so I got introduced to a local farm that I was able to make a loan to. And so just even starting the conversation.
I love that so much. Yes, it does take some work. It's not as easy as just putting your money into your suitcase and handing it off to that hand around the corner where they're going to go take care of it for you. When you want to know what you're investing in, there's some research involved. Or you can connect with someone like Laura or someone like me at Money with Mission, and we can help you with that work, figuring out where you want your money to go and how you want that to play out in the world. I like the term collaboration, and it's a term that's used a lot, but not always used correctly, in my opinion, where many people come together and come up with ideas that are bigger than what any one of them could have come up with alone. And I believe we're going more towards that, but we've been more in this individual kind of place where we're all doing our own thing and we are working with people, but not necessarily in collaboration with them. I hope that makes sense to you guys.
Hmm.
And what I'm hearing from Laura is more about collaborating, more about working together, more about talking to people, more about understanding each other and your community and what your community needs so that you can help that place, or if it's not the community you live in, a community that you want to help be better by your investment. Am I getting you? Am I getting there?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect. Thank you. You mentioned a word, and we talked about this in our last time in the permaculture and how you use permaculture to embody your whole practice, your whole
Hmm.
everything you're thinking about. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Sure. Most people know, if they do know permaculture, they think about using it in their landscape for gardening. It's this set of design tools, again, like I said, looking at nature and how do we look at what nature does and apply it so we're working with nature instead of against it. And when it comes to the economics and finance aspects of permaculture, so permaculture was pulled together by two Australians, Bill Mollison and David Holmgren. And Bill Mollison's major work is the Permaculture Designer's Manual. And in that manual, he outlines, I guess, what you could call permaculture asset classes. And how do we think about what we're putting our money in, thinking about degenerative versus regenerative and procreative assets. So any material item could be a degenerative investment. Eventually things degrade, but if we take care of them or we use them in ways that earn us money, then that physical item, like a typewriter or a computer, it could be a generative asset if we used it to run our business, or if a community or a group of friends came together, pooled their money and bought a seed press. Maybe they're all growing olive trees. And then they can press their olive oil and they can have other people pay to use their press and press their own olive oil or sell the olive oil that they make. So that becomes a generative asset where, and if, for example, one of the things I've done in terms of retirement planning is plant what are called soap nut trees in my yard. And it's literally, it produces, I don't know if it's technically a nut, a technical a botanist might get after me, but it's a nut that can be used to produce soap. There are saponins in it. So you can
Huh.
use it for laundry, for cleaning products. And so part of my thinking is that I'll be able to, save money by having my own cleaning detergent. I won't be impacted by supply chain issues. Potentially, I can gift it to people, I can barter with it, and I can sell it.
Mhm.
So that's a procreative investment. And because it would also, I could create seedlings yeah, and sell new soap nut trees to people. So these are procreative or regenerative investments that are going to produce more of themselves.
Yes. So the thing that went across my mind is reduce, reuse, recycle. It
Hmm.
goes with what I think it's along the same lines because you said regenerative, generative, destructive, generative, and regenerative. Are those the three different terms you use?
Degenerative,
Degenerative,
generative, yeah.
degenerate. I said destructive, degenerative, generative,
Generative,
and
procreative,
regenerative,
regenerative or procreative.
procreative. And some of the regenerative, the farmers who are doing types of things are making the soil, bringing the soil back by virtue of the way they're doing their farming. And there's a lot of that, you guys. There's more of that out there than you think. And we have to support that. Otherwise, we're losing our soil. The nutrients in our food is going down because of the way farms are being handled. It's a big deal. And health, we talked about that, is one of those cornerstones of wealth. If you don't have that, who cares how much money you have, right?
Yes.
This way.
I think health is it's really becoming a big focus for me because I think our version of retirement planning seems so distorted to me to focus so unilaterally on money and working for much of your life, stressing out and working at the expense of so many other things to accumulate this pile of money to largely not only, but largely afford your health care later in life, but doing it at the expense of your health in the
Yeah.
process.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's like, how do we rethink this and really bring health to the forefront earlier on to reduce that need for us to earn all that money and destroy our health in the process?
Yeah. One of my things about retirement is to do what you want, when you want, with whom you want, no matter how old you are. That's what it is to me. And your health is very important in all of that. And I really like it. What are you giving up to make this money? What are you sacrificing, including your health, to get to where you want to be financially, just dollar wise, when there's so many other components of wealth that you might be missing out on, spending time with your kids, that you traveling, seeing the world, doing all those kinds of things that you're planning to do when you retire, when you save up enough money to be able to do those things. And I think both Laura and I are about doing those things in addition to all the other stuff we got to do. It's not about one or the other. It's figuring out how to do that. And I know I've been to your website. You collaborate with a lot of people to help people really see all these different things. I really love that. So richandresilientliving.com, that's your website. Did I get it right?
Yes.
If you go there, you will find so many resources. Laura's put together some many education, lots of different things. She's coaches. She can really help get you over that hump of figuring out, well, okay, I get it. I need to do this, but what next? That's the place to go to try to get all that stuff dialed in. And she collaborates with some world class people. It's amazing. When I was going through that, I was like, oh my God, I could be here all day looking at all these folks, looking at Laura's website, looking at all these people that you're with and who you work with, and their websites. It's amazing to me. Talk a little bit more about your book too.
Okay. So yeah, Growing Free, it's this book because again, like what you were saying, it's not about not earning money or not working, but we're at a point where we need all hands on deck, even doing the good work. There is so much potential for people to find income and meaning and fulfillment doing the work that's going to write our course or help us navigate if we can't write the course.
Yeah.
We're going to need a lot of support. And so, Growing Free is this book to help people think about what might the livelihood path look like for them if they feel like they're not currently pursuing a livelihood that's part of the solution or want to do more of that. And then it's the money book that really takes the kind of macro level thinking of about money, finance, and economics from Mollison's Permaculture Designer's Manual and brings it down to that personal finance level.
Mm.
And how do we navigate money from that permaculture perspective? It's that kind of meshing of permaculture and personal finance.
Mm.
And it is, again, it's a lot about because really money is a resource. And so I think we don't talk enough. We talk about financial literacy, but I even just think if we talk more about resource management and helping people think about whether it's money or other resources or things in their lives, like just how to take care of them and steward them and really come to recognize that. And while that's not overtly what our book is about, I think it helps people get to that. And there's so many other choices people can make. They can live more creatively. They can choose an alternative path. And we're afraid of it because it's not conventional and it's not what's usually presented to us. But so often, it's a path that's going to bring you so much more satisfaction and joy and fulfillment and better health and a longer life. And this book is a roadmap for that.
You can show it. Anybody
Okay.
watching on YouTube, let's just show it to them.
Growing Free. And so building the life of your dreams without losing your soul or destroying the planet. And we did self-publish the book, so it's available on Amazon, but if you really want to support us, you could go to my website. In the shop page of my website, it's the first thing that pulls up and you can buy it directly from us or a family member of one of our authors. And then
You guys, don't go to Amazon.
stop.
Don't do that. Go to richandresilientliving.com. Scroll down till you see the shop button and buy the book there. I'm just telling you, don't Amazon it. Go there. And never mind. Just do that. Do that. Okay. While you're at that site, once again, talk about some of the courses that you have and ways you can help people get to where they might want to be. If that again, yes, I want to do this. Now what?
Well, I think the next best step for people other than the book, again, there's also coaching, but also on the shop page of my website, I have just a short video introductory course called Building Regenerative Wealth. And it's a simple introduction to what is this concept of regenerative wealth, and it goes deeper into the examples of it. How do we develop that regenerative wealth mindset? So instead of thinking in that conventional framing, and then what are the examples of regenerative wealth, and how do we start building more of that in our own lives?
How do you
So
think? I'm sorry. I'm gonna just thought of that. How do you think scarcity mindset helps or prevents getting to that regenerative wealth mindset?
oh, I think it's definitely, I don't think it helps.
I don't think it
I,
helps.
I think it deters people. And I think that is just a big mindset shift right there. Again, when we're thinking about this from a regenerative or permaculture perspective and we're looking at nature as the model, there's so much abundance in nature is continually just enriching itself. Ecosystems are always growing richer and more diverse. And yes, we live in this model, this capitalist model that puts scarcity out in front of us. But when we look around, there is so much abundance out there. Yeah, I'm an avid dumpster diver, and I can tell you that our waste stream is full of still useful items. Our conventional thinking and the media make us think that food has to come from the grocery store and it has to look a certain way. And yet, when most of us walk out in our yards, there are so many edible weeds that we've been spraying noxious chemicals on that are far more nutrient dense than the expensive, tasteless food at the grocery store. There are resources all around us. It's just so distorted. Our thrift store dumpsters are overflowing. Even the thrift stores can't handle
Mm.
all of our stuff in Western countries. There is so much waste, but we need to learn to repair. We need to rethink what waste is and what's reusing things.
But yes, I agree. I agree. I'm not a dumpster diver. I'm gonna admit, I'm not diving in the dumpster. That being said, I believe that if we got rid of scarcity as a thing, and I think there's times when we don't even realize that that's our mindset. Because I work really hard and I don't think I have it, and then sometimes I can feel it. I just, oh my gosh, why am I some bills coming or some big things coming? I need the money, closing on a property or something like. I don't know. Where's the money going to come from? Every single time it shows up, every single time. So if we could get rid of scarcity mindset around money, think about how your scarcity mindset would go away from all those other things. Like, I think on one of your sites you talk about ugly produce. I personally do like ugly produce. I go to the grocery store and I want the thing that nobody else wants because it's ugly or looks funny or whatever. And I take pictures of it and I put them out there. Food doesn't have to be pretty to eat it. It doesn't.
Mm-mm.
It works really well, and the ones that are ugly are the ones that are grown, and they just get to do their thing. You pull them out, you eat that thing. I love it. I love about all the weeds because 'cause I've got so much arugula in my garden, like,
Mm.
I was like, "I don't know how you can eat this much arugula, it just grows everywhere." Anyway, there's no scarcity of arugula in my yard. If you guys need some, let me know, I'll bring it over.
Right. And I think also that you were talking about loneliness and being disconnected. I think so often it's just a matter of we don't put it out there what we need.
Ah,
And the more we can open up and do that, even just starting with simple things like asking a neighbor to borrow something. I've
okay.
seen some really cool videos of someone bringing a community together or a small group together. And it's okay, you talk about what you need and let's see how the group responds and how they can help. And it's just amazing.
Yes. That's I have a friend of mine who does a thing called a giving circle, and it's around that kind of thing. This is more about giving money to a particular organization. But imagine if we did that, we come together. What's going on? What do you need? And that kind of bringing people together would be amazing. That's amazing. I was reading on your website about how you go and get fruit that fell off that's in the sidewalk or whatever. And it's just, and you meet your neighbors that way. You're just like, hey, this lemon's hanging over the fence. Can I take this one? You get to have a conversation with somebody. And the more you do that, the more we are available to each other to help, to participate, to make the world better, bottom line, for everybody, and just give people a feeling that they're not so alone, which I think is one of our biggest problems right now. I'm getting a little bit philosophical, so sorry. But loneliness is a big deal.
Yes.
And it's not there's too many people in the world for people to be lonely. And we just have to
Such a good
yeah, we
point.
gotta get out there and just put yourself out there a little bit. And I think you'll see a lot. I love this conversation, Laura. I'm glad we reconnected. I really
Yeah.
am. This
Me, me too.
regenerative, resilient, not degenerative, generative, or regenerative. I got to keep those words right. Just like the reduce. My kids always reduce, reuse, recycle. And reduce number one, she goes, Mom, don't recycle. That's the last thing you do.
Oh.
Reuse it first or don't get it at all. And it's so interesting I live in Oklahoma right now, but in the grocery store, people are shocked when you don't want a bag. I'm like, no, no, no. See this big purse I have? All this stuff goes in here.
Great.
I love it. Thank you so much. One more time, these Laura's information is going to be in the show notes, but for if anybody just went and grabbed something to write with, richandresilientliving.com. The book is called, one more time,
Growing free. Building the life of your dreams without losing your soul or destroying the planet.
A- And go to the website to buy the book,
Yes.
richandresilientliving.com.
Thank you, Felicia.
And then check out all the other things she's got going on there. If you're ready to move forward and become less scarcity mindset, much more resilient in every area of your life, Laura's got information there and some tools there that can help you get there. And again, she knows a ton of people, and their websites are all on there too. You could be there forever. It's not doom scrolling either. Some good stuff on there.
Yes, hopefully it's the opposite of doom scrolling. That's
The
what I strive
opposite,
for.
exact- I felt good after being there. Thank you
Yay.
so much. I appreciate it. And I'll see you again soon. Thanks, you guys. See you next week.
You've been listening to Money with Mission. There are projects happening right now where you can have a great financial return while positively affecting the lives of others. To learn more about our opportunities, go to moneywithmission.com.